Hi, sorry if this is unorganised. I haven't done anything like this before. So when getting started, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to File, and New. Now, typically, for a smaller drawing, I tend to go by 1000 by 1000. For a bigger drawing, 2000 by 2000. For this, I'm going to go by 250 by 250. You'll see. You can change the size of a canvas later. To zoom in, you've got these two buttons, of course. I'd say double click on this and it'll fit the entire drawing on the screen. Okay. Sorry. Oh, by the way, if you got this glove, it's just to help not to smudge too much on the tablet. So the first thing you should know is layers. Just press new raster layer, or whatever, and you'll probably know how this works. Just whatever you draw on the bottom, and then you go to an upper layer, we'll go over it. So for pens, the basic G pen, perfectly fine, that's the one I use. For some settings, you've got the brush size, you can also change it here. The opacity sort of changes how faded it is, so it sort of layers on top of each other like that. You can also press that. This is good for sketching, especially, because, sorry, I don't know why I did that, but yeah, I use that for sketching. And then for full liner, I usually go full opacity. Again, depends on what you want to go for. So, anti-aliasing, that just sort of changes how the edges of it look. So you got pixelated, and then slightly usually I go for the third one. Again, personal preference. Play around with it. Stabilization, that will change how smooth the lines are. So full stabilization looks a bit like this. Go to none, it looks a bit more like this. You can see like around the corners, the program sort of smooths it out for you. This can be good for like bigger pieces, like for this Marie one. For lines like those, I typically use more stabilization, just helps get smoother lines. Let's see what's next. Okay, so you have these three options down here. Typically, you're not going to use this one much. I'll get to that later, but this one acts a bit like an eraser. Again, pretty simple. Usually, if you just want normal erasing, I'd recommend just a normal eraser. But what's good about that? Textured pen, doesn't matter. Okay. So what's good about this is that it can act as an eraser, but in the style of the same pen, if that makes sense. Sorry. Again, just the crown markers, pencils, charcoal, whatever. Again, just play around with them. Sprays. Blending, this is what I typically use to blend things together. Don't worry about it too much. I don't use this all that much, but it sort of drags stuff along. Again, play around with it. You got the fill. So you see how it says refer to editing layer? Usually I would just ignore that and go to refer to other layers. Sorry, I don't know how to describe it. I'll describe it later. It's just a better bucket tool. So these are gradients. Simple. I'm holding the phone with my hand, so I can't really do this, but if you want to go for a straight line, hold down shift while making a mark. That will come in handy. So with this one, with this white one, if you change the colour to that, whatever, and then go to background colour stripe, it sort of works as a secondary colour for things like that. Again, I don't know why I'm saying forgive me. Again, if you want to make squares, you sort of just hold down, and when you've made the square, you just double tap and that will put the square down. If you want to make a perfect square, hold down shift, same for a circle. So these will just change what's filled in. Same with opacity. I'm still figuring out how these work. And these text, hold down. Oh. I made it too big. You get the point. So yeah, that's size, that's the position of text. Still figuring that and that out. I'm tired. So for this, so over here, you've got some options. So you've got this, which changes the opacity of a layer. This just changes what colour the layer looks like, just from here. This is for organising, especially if you use a lot of layers. So this is called blending mode. If you want to do shading, I'd recommend changing it to multiply. I'll make a new layer for that. So, and then, okay. So this is what it looks like normally. And if I go to multiply, it's sort of, I mean, you can see what it does. Just play around with that. If you want to attach something to the layer below it, you want to go to clip to layer below, so that way whatever's on the upper layer will only show on the lower layer. If you press lock transparent pixels, it does a similar thing. You can sort of really change that without moving the shape. That's the basics I can give for now. Oh, one more thing. When saving, there's going to be two kind of file types. So I'll just call this, I don't know. Okay, so if you save it as Clip Studio format, that will save the file itself. So if I close it, go to open, it will open up with all of the layers intact. If I save it as a JPEG, it sort of squishes all the layers down and makes it like an actual image you can upload. You can't typically upload Clip Studio files. So make sure to save frequently, especially with the Clip Studio. Make sure to save it like this often, because that will save each of the layers. That's all I can think of for now. There's probably other stuff. Again, take your time. I didn't learn all this right away. I tried to make the more basic information at the beginning of the video.